My name is James Rowlands. In 2015, I teamed up with my friend Dan White to create the Wnr podcast. Since then, we have been giving you everything that's happened on the WWE Network. Now, in 2018, not only are we live for the Big Four events and every NXT takeover, but we celebrate 20 years since the birth of the Attitude Era. Plus, every month we'll bring you 205 Live, collections, new content, W pay-per-views and latest news on the WWE Network. Until we've watched everything, we are with you, and we are the WNR. Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and as always I'm joined by
Dan White.
And today, it's time. It's the end of 2018 for the WNR podcast, the last podcast of the year, and what show we have for you today. We've got a full retrospective look back at plus the WNR Year End predictions. We're going to have the show of the year, the year in review, look back at all the podcasts that we've released this year, and of course look at 2016 and 2017 year-end predictions. But Dan, this is what we've been building for since the very first podcast of 2018. It's the Prediction League. Now, just explain to anybody who's never listened before, this is their first podcast, unbelievably listening to the WNR. What is the year-end predictions?
Well, if it's their first podcast, where the fuck have they been? But we have three leagues. We have a bonus prediction league, we have a WWE pay-per-view prediction league, and we have an NXT pay-per-view prediction league. Do you want me to quickly run down the scores?
Well, let's do the scores together because it is year-end, and like I say, every pay-per-view we've got points on the line, NXT, and the bonus points come into play. So NXT first, and I got 3 NXT points this year, so out of, I think, the 5 takeover events, 3 out of 5, which is a great score, you know. Didn't do too bad there.
Yes, well, if 3 out of 5 is a great score, my 4 out of 5 is an even better score, James.
Yes, well, it is indeed. You only lost NXT Chicago, whereas I lost NXT Philly and War Games that's just gone by. Pay-per-views, again, not really that close this year. I've got 8 pay-per-views, Dan.
I got 12.
Yeah, that's out of 14 events as well.
Fucking hell, so I've only got 2 wrong.
Yeah, 12 out of 14.
So out of, 19 pay-per-views, I've got 3 wrong.
Yeah, that's not bad at all if you count takeovers into it. 12, 8 there, and bonus points.
I've got 23.
Have I got better? No, I haven't. I've got 17 this year. And I mean, bonus points, we've been really doing it for everything. We started off with NXT Philly perfect score for you, Dan. Stuff like Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, Mixed Match Challenge, Braun's Partner, UK Tournament, Mae Young, cash-in cards we've had the World Cup, Survivor Series eliminations as well. So we've had a lot of bonus points on the line. In total, I've got 28 points.
And I have got 39.
39, but yes, it is 39 points, so it's 39-28, so there's 11 points difference, but it is not over yet, because like we say, we do year-end predictions. Now there's over 30 points on the line for this, actually 60 points now, because Dan, we've decided that if we're spot on with our bang-on prediction, we get 2 points. If it's, say, Asuka, who is the Women's Champion now on SmackDown, if we picked her for Raw, we would get 1 point for that. And I think there'll be a couple of issues because we've done a couple of bonus predictions and stuff like this. We might have to argue about as well, but we'll get on to that in a little bit. But that's what we're fighting for. But not only that, about being the true king of the WNR podcast, are we fighting for? The loser also has got a forfeit as well, Dan. Yes,
the forfeit, and I've been wearing my Enzo Amore Certified G t-shirt all year long for every podcast. I wore it to Raw and SmackDown that we went to see live as well. And, you know, it doesn't take a genius to know that I fucking hate Enzo fucking Amore.
So have I got another Enzo Amore t-shirt for you if I manage to pull off the most incredible comeback, which it would be, of all time in the WNR podcast. But what importantly for me is, we have been doing this for quite some time, so I will say I am 2-1 up in years at the moment. So technically, Dan, it is only 2-2 then, and 2019 will be a fight to the death at who could go 3-2 up, I suppose. But it is 2-1 years. You won the first year, didn't you, 2015?
I did, yes. You complain that it wasn't a full year.
No, we started in May, it's true, yeah.
We both started on the same amount of points. We both done the same amount of predictions, so it's not as if I had any advantage whatsoever.
No. And then 2016, 2017, I mean, just easy victories for me,
They wasn't because I've been going back doing my research, and you kind of say that they was easy victories. I mean, for 2015, I won it 7-5.
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah.
2011.
So I beat you by 9 points.
Yes. Wasn't really, I'm currently winning by
11.
11.
So 9 is not bad. You know what I mean? I'm saying, plus there's like 60 more points on the line today, Dan. So it ain't over yet. So that was a bit of a spunk in 2016. What did I do you 2017? Oh, the reason why Dan is going back and listening to all the old ones and getting all the statistics, because the WNR 200 coming up in January, we'll be looking back on the entire history of the WNR podcast, including what goes on behind the scenes and the kind of the making of the podcast as well. But we're going to focus on year-end predictions. Like I say, so Dan, it was 9 points in 2016. He said it wasn't close. It's 11 now. But let's just give people an idea maybe what year-end predictions we do. Let's go back to 2016 when we first did them. So in 2015, basically what we did is we made a couple of predictions down on, put them in an envelope, sealed them shut for a whole year, then get them back the following year. And like I say, this is our third, 2015, 16, 17. It's our third year of doing it now? Fourth year? It is
our third year of opening predictions.
Oh, yeah, so the what are going into the envelopes this year will be our fourth year-end predictions, which, it's crazy when you think about it. So year-end predictions, 2016, Dan, start us off.
Well, we'll start off at the top, WWE champ. I had gone for Brock Lesnar to be the champ. So
just some, remember we did this at the end of 2015. So where we thought the people would be at the end of 2016, I said Seth Rollins. I do believe the champion at the end of 2016. Now you're going to test me now, aren't you? The WWE champion at the end of 2016 was AJ Styles, who had beat Dean Ambrose. But Seth Rollins had been WWE champion that year, to be fair. And Lesnar, of course, lost it. Well, Lesnar wasn't involved in the WWE title that year. He faced Ambrose at WrestleMania. Intercontinental champion, I said Sami Zayn.
I went for Finn Balor.
And the Intercontinental champion was The Miz.
Gosh.
So we were nowhere near with that one either. Next one, Dan.
US champion, I went for AJ Styles. Now, bearing in mind, he hadn't even made his debut yet. But I was like, no, AJ Styles is going to make his debut and he's going to win the US championship.
Well, I said it would be... Well, I don't know why you're laughing. He was your fucking one to watch in 2015, 2016. So, I don't know say anything about that. But the actual champion in the end, December of 2016 was Roman Reigns. He was United States champion. Fucking hell. Tag team champions, I said the Revival.
I said Hardys, to which you laughed. But didn't they appear at WrestleMania and win the championships? Tag team championships?
That's 2017.
Oh, it might have been.
So neither of them were tag team champions. The women's champ?
Well, I had gone for Becky Lynch.
Yeah, and you actually got the point for that, didn't you?
I nearly got the point for that one, but it turned out that Alexa Bliss had won it right at the end of the year, so that point was quickly taken away.
So you only got one point that you thought you had. I went Bailey, and of course didn't get that right. NXT champ, I said Ricochet, even though he wasn't even in the company at the time.
That was like 2 years before he made his debut. I went for Ken Anderson.
Wow, Ken Anderson, Mr. Kennedy.
So I was a billion miles away.
NXT Tag Team Champions, American Alpha for me.
I went for the Vaudevillains.
I think mine was a better shot that year. NXT Women's Champion.
I went for Tamina Snuka.
Then I went Dana Brooke, which is probably worse. Royal Rumble winner.
I went for Triple H, who I think you'll find actually won the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and because Becky Lynch wasn't right, that was your only correct point of the year-end predictions 2016. I went Roman Reigns, and again, fucked it up big time.
Big time, yes. WrestleMania main event, I went for Triple H versus Reigns.
And I went Reigns, Triple H, and we both got the point for that being correct.
Undertaker's opponents.
We were way out here. With Kane versus League of Nations.
I went for just against Kane.
Oh, yeah. Who did he face 2016?
Fucking hell.
Shame up, man. By the way, I have nothing in front of me. I'm just doing this for memory, so if I am wrong. Money in the Bank winner, I got it correct. Dean Ambrose.
Yes, I went for Finn Balor. Not only was he going to be the IC champ, but he was also going to win the Money in the Bank.
Surprise return, CM Punk. Wishful thinking on my part.
I think that was, yes. I went for Hogan.
Oh, so that was... Surprise leave, Balor. I had a problem with Balor back in 2016.
You've still got a huge problem with Balor, James.
Yeah.
I went for R-Truth.
And bonus of the year, another point for me, Money in the Bank cashed in before year end, because Dean Ambrose cashed it in on the Money in the Bank event.
And I went for Hardys versus Dudleys one more time.
Yeah, so unfortunately the Hardys weren't back just then. Then we had a couple more for year end predictions in 2017.
So before the year end predictions was opened, I had a look, and James, you was currently beating me 20-27. NXT was both 5 apiece. The WWE pay-per-view predictions, it was 8-12 to you.
Oh, like this year.
Huh?
For you. Like this year for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
And bonus predictions, it was 7-10 to you. So you was, spanking me by 7 points.
All right, so NXT Women's Champion we start off with, and I went Billie Kay.
I went for Ember Moon, and she was the champ.
Yeah. NXT, I went TM61.
I went for Sanity.
Neither were the champion. NXT champion, Hideo Itami.
I was still on my Sanity thing, and I went for Eric Young.
Yeah. SmackDown Women's Champion, Asuka.
Asuka for me too.
Raw Women's Champion, I promoted Ember Moon, and she was my Raw Women's Champion.
I had Bayley.
Tag Team Champions for Raw, The Revival.
I had American Alpha.
I had American Down.
I had Enzo and Cass.
So you picked Enzo and Cass, that's nice. Cruiserweight Champion, Noam Dar.
That was your Noam Dar thing. I went for Neville.
US Champion, Big Cass.
Oh my days. I went for Ty Dillinger.
Intercontinental Champion, Samoa Joe.
I went for Bobby Roode.
Universal Champion.
I went for Finn Balor.
WWE Champion, I gave no answer.
Well, you must have been wrong because we didn't say anything about it.
Yeah, no. I
went for AJ Styles, who I think you'll find was the champ.
WWE, no. Royal Rumble winner, I went Braun Strowman.
I went for Finn Balor.
And we all know who won it in 2017. Main event, Taker versus Cena.
I went for Triple H Rollins.
Taker's Mania opponent, Taker versus Cena. That happened the following year.
Fucking hell. I went for AJ Styles.
Wow. Money in the Bank winner, Corbin. So I got Money in the Bank winner 2 years in a row.
I went for Corbin as well.
Surprise return, Kurt Angle.
I went for Kurt Angle, and as you'll find, he returned.
Surprise leaving, Cesaro.
I went for the Big Show.
Bonus number 1 was the Shield reunion.
They reunited. I went for Ty number 10 in the Royal Rumble.
Rude versus Dillinger for the NXT title.
I went for Lesnar eliminates Goldberg from the Rumble, and I think you'll find Goldberg actually eliminated Lesnar from the Royal Rumble.
The Miz beats the Honky Tonk Man's Intercontinental title reign.
And this was kind of a pushed point, and I think you only gave it to me out of pity. But I went for Money in the Bank winner keeps contract for 6+ months. The men's didn't, but the first ever women's Money in the Bank holder, Carmella, did. So at the total for the end of that year, it was James 30, me 26. So it was only 4 points difference.
That's close. So that's what we're going to expect when we do the year end for 2018, which will be towards the end of the show. But now we want to kind of look back as a retrospective look back at the year, really, in a kind of full year-end review, WNR podcast style. Do you know, we released 93 podcasts this year, and we just like to thank everybody for the listens, and what a fantastic weekend Survivor Series was. What a fantastic weekend all our live weekends were, you know, this year with Rumble, WrestleMania, because we'll talk about them. And just for preparation, we've got so many big things lined up for January. It's unbelievable. We're going to have 2 full-on weekends as well, but explain all about that, plus the WNR 200. But let's go back to the very first podcast of 2018. And it is... So it's the WNR 137. It's a WWE Superstar profile, Shawn Michaels. And here's a synopsis. Episode 137. On our very first podcast of 2018, the WNR podcast present the first half of Shawn Michaels' career. From the AWA in team with Mighty Jannetty as the Rockers, we recap all the big moments from the 90s, including the feuds with Razor Ramon, Diesel, and Bret Hart. Also, the classic Hell in a Cell match with The Undertaker, plus lots more. Enjoy. And, I mean, talk about a great Hell in a Cell match. That first Hell in a Cell, I don't think Hell in a Cells would have been that classic if it wasn't for that first match, Dan. What are your thoughts?
A definite legend. Had some of the greatest matches I've seen, and, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that Hell in a Cell match kind of really started everything off, you know, in Hell in a Cell. And just look back now, you know, 20 years later, and how big that matchup is still now. Plus a lot of stuff, and we will be bringing you the second part of Shawn Michaels' profile, I'm sure sooner rather than later.
Most definitely. We went on to episode 138, and that was a WWE Network review of January, featuring the latest content and collections, including Raw 25 and WWE Photo Shoot. Then 205 Live, we check out the last month of action, all the latest news, including Paige and Ronda Rousey rumours. Then we are known for the monthly NXT update. Would the Undisputed Era take over the world, or would Aleister Black have something to say? With the NXT on the line and Shayna Baszler making a debut, it's an update to remember, plus lots more.
Yeah, so that was it. It sounded exciting. I want to go back and listen to it right now. And then we had WNR 139, WCW versus WWE, the Royal Rumble 1998. Episode 139, we continue the WNR's journey in WWE versus WCW. Last time we had left things in WCW, they just had their biggest event, not only of 1997, but of all time. Sting versus Hogan was meant to cement WCW as number one. Instead, more questions were asked if they even knew what they were doing. On Nitro the next night, a rematch was made. We watched this, plus all the highlights on Nitro leading up to the sold-out 98, where we have Chris Jericho's New Attitude versus Rey Mysterio, and the Giants collide when the Giant faced Kevin Nash. Over in WWF, we watched them try to compete, with Stone Cold Steve Austin targeting everyone on the way to the Rumble. Speaking of the main event for that, a casket match, Undertaker versus Michaels. We have an event in full and all the build-up as well. Enjoy. And what a pay-per-view 1998 of Royal Rumble 1998 it was. Obviously.
Brilliant, yeah. Rumble's one of my favourite events, and, you know, I do love the old school stuff. Then we went on to WNR 114. It was the start of a huge weekend for the WNR podcast. We brought you Raw 25, an in-depth analysis of the Raw 25 event. Plus, we watched the very first moments on Monday Night Raw, plus the WNR's top 5 Raw moments. On Saturday night at 11, the WNR podcasts would be live for NXT TakeOver Philly pre-show. The latest episodes of NXT, news, and so much more.
Yeah, and that's basically leading into episode 141, part 1. We continue a huge weekend with the very first live show of the year, NXT TakeOver pre-show. We're bringing the latest news, build-up, and rundown of the event. Last 2 episodes of NXT, plus fun and games, and much more.
And that went over to the next night, NXT 142 Part 1, the WWE, the WWE Royal Rumble Kickoff live. And the WNR podcast weekend ends with a WWE Royal Rumble Kickoff. And you join us as we run through the card, have 205 Live, check-in, watch Mixed Match Challenge, news, and Rumble facts.
And then the WNR 142 Part 2. It's WWE Royal Rumble 2018. We had all the build-up, now time for the 2018 Royal Rumble. Of course, this year we have 2 with the first ever Women's Rumble. What surprises are in store on the road to WrestleMania, plus lots more from the WNR team. Enjoy.
And then we moved on to WNR 142 Part 3. The WWE Rumble Raw, Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, Fallout. Well, isn't the third always the best one of the trilogy? It's the WNR 142 Part 3. The WNR podcast team wrap up the week that was. We look at the times of the Royal Rumble matches, bring you the kickoff matches plus all the Ronda Rousey fallout. We watched Raw and SmackDown live and give our thoughts on the road to WrestleMania, plus 205's new general manager and who's going into this year's Hall of Fame.
Yeah, wow. And then the WNR 141 Part 2, which is NXT TakeOver
Philly!
And we wrap up the Rumble weekend with episode 1-2. What an event. It's with the NXT Women's and Tag Team titles online, plus the Extreme Rules match between Adam Cole and Aleister Black. Then it's 5-star time as the NXT title was online, an instant classic. Plus we bring you the NXT episode after, featuring Strong versus Bate, plus lots more.
Yes, and then we go on to WNR 143, and that was a network review of February. It's time, the WWE Network review for February. We look at everything new the past month. We start with collections and new content, including Ride Along and WWE 24. Then it's 205 Live and the start of the Cruiserweight Championship 16-man tourney. Latest news and arrivals and injuries and Raw and SmackDown. Plus, finally, what we do better than anyone is the NXT update, plus lots more.
Yeah, I mean, that is just start of February. So to think how many we done in January was awesome. And like you said, and then we just start February off. And we move on to WNR 144, WWE vs WCW Part 1, Nitro versus Raw. On this show, the WNR podcast go back 20 years and watch Raw and Nitro in the month of February. Matches include Sting versus Macho, Outsiders versus Steiners, and Hogan versus All. Over on Raw, Austin and Tyson had just happened, so WWE were building up to WrestleMania 14, but had to stop off on No Way Out of Texas. Plus, lots more on Part 2, WCW Super Bowl and Raw and Nitro after. And what were your thoughts on the Royal Rumble this year? We didn't touch on those. I mean, we did have the Rumble this year, Dan. Can you remember it?
Yes, Nakamura won.
Nakamura did win, yeah. So did Oscar.
Yes, she did. Again, I wasn't really happy with the end of the Women's Royal Rumble because Ronda Rousey made it all about herself, much like she did at TLC.
I suppose so, but then again, that was big news, wasn't it? We thought Oscar would be successful. The same with Nakamura coming out, I think, number 14. And I don't think it was a bad triple threat match that we had as well. I think it was Strowman, Kane, and Lesnar. So, I mean, the Rumble was okay, but like I said, we were building up towards WrestleMania. But our next podcast in February, Dan?
It was a WNR 144 WWE versus WCW Part 2. It's WWE and WCW and it's pay-per-view time. WCW Super Bowl 98 featuring Sting versus Hollywood Hogan in a Riz with Goldberg, Booker T and Chris Jericho in action. It's a show not to be missed. After that we have Raw and Nitro the day after, including the build-up to WrestleMania 14 plus lots more.
And I mean, one thing that has changed this year to everything else is that because we have been focusing on WWE versus WCW so much, kind of other podcasts that we have been maybe doing in the past have gone away, like the superstar profiles and the top 10 kind of ridiculous. But at the moment, because it is actually there and because it is kind of 20 years ago, you kind of want to focus on it at the moment. But we will be bringing podcasts back at certain points. Our next podcast in February was WNR 145 Chamber 2018. Raw presents the first ever Women's Elimination Chamber match. Also, for the first time ever, 7 men enter Satan's structure for a chance to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Chucking Oscar versus Nia Jax, and Rousey signed their contract. It's one not to be missed, plus Raw and SmackDown Live after the show, and lots more. And a chamber, like we said, a lot of the women's wrestling kind of came on leaps and bounds this year. We've already seen the first Royal Rumble, and then the first Elimination Chamber match. And I've got to say, I think I was a fan of the women's Elimination Chamber match a little bit more than the men's this year, you know?
Yeah, I think, you know, in these kind of cases, it's something new is better. You know, I thought the women's Royal Rumble match was better than the men's. And the women Elimination Chamber match, yeah, it was a brilliant, very innovative match. And it's good to see that the women's division is taking leaps forward. And then we go on to the WNR Podcast Extra. It's the WWE Mixed Match Challenge Part 1.
Mixed Match Challenge!
And it's the first 6 weeks of the Mixed Match Challenge competition featuring Oscar and The Miz, Braun and Bliss, Naomi and Jay, plus lots more.
And then we move on to WNR 146, WWE Net Review for March. It's what we do best and what we're named for, the WWE Net Review for March. This month, 205 Live continue its Cruiserweight title tournament with Wesley Blake, Drew Gulak and Mark Andrews in action. Then it's news this month, Bulldog vs Scott Hall family feud, injuries and departures, plus lots more. Finally, it's NXT update. Johnny Gargano has one more chance against CM for the NXT title and the start of the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Now, Dusty Rhodes Classic this year, we already had a season of Mixed Match Challenge, the Royal Rumble. Forgot about Enzo Amore as well. But we talk about Enzo Amore as well. In January, he got fired, Dan, didn't
he? Yes. Yes, he did.
Is that still your favourite news story of the year?
I would have to say yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it definitely is.
And I mean, he's been causing trouble recently in an MSG show as well. But, you know, it just didn't work out for Enzo. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a shame, isn't it, really?
Indeed, yes. And episode 147, which was WWE Fastlane 2018. James, best pay-per-view ever. And it is Fastlane, SmackDown's last stop till WrestleMania, featuring a six-pack challenge for the WWE title. But the real main event is Bobby Roode versus Randy Orton for the US Championship. Who would prevail in battle, not only for the for the US title, but James versus Dan? Who won that, James? Who?
Well, James won the sing-off, if anybody wants to remember that. But I suppose it's not been brought up. But I don't think Bobby Roode left with the United States title.
Plus the Raw and SmackDown Live after with Talking Smack and all the latest news.
And then the WNR 148 W vs WCW March 1998 Part 1. Every month we go back 20 years to the advent of Attitude and watch every Raw and Nitro in a month. On this show we bring you 4 episodes of Raw on the road to WrestleMania 14 and 2 huge episodes of Nitro. Plus lots more.
Yes, and WNR Podcast Extra. Yes, yes, yes. And it was a very, very special podcast. We celebrate Daniel Bryan being cleared to return to the ring. We discuss Daniel's greatest moments, plus a full SmackDown summary. Also, latest news, new content, and Raw review.
And then the WNR 148 Part 2. Which was WrestleMania 14. Austin, Tyson, Michaels. With The Undertaker facing off with Kane for the very first time. Plus, we watched 2 nights where the action takes place on spring break. The action here truly kicks off. And I mean, WrestleMania 14... what a pay-per-view it was. I mean, like you said, the undercard wasn't great, but you had Austin and Michaels give it everything they got in the main event. Kane versus The Undertaker, which probably their best match they've ever had against each other. Even Sable was entertaining there. Do you know what I mean? And the light heavyweight title match between, say Rios and Taka Michinoku, really underrated as well. I love WrestleMania 14. That was my pay-per-view of the year for WWE versus WCW.
It was episode 149. And it's the start of 7 podcasts in 9 days. And we have a very special show to start. It's my choice of WrestleMania. And this year I picked WrestleMania 30 or Yeselmania 30. On a night where we would see the end of the legendary streak, we would also see a life's work rewarded when Daniel Bryan had the chance to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Plus lots more. Indeed, yes, and we go on to a big episode for us. It was episode 150, and it was a very special anniversary podcast. We celebrate 150 episodes of the WNR podcast by picking the top 15 factions of all time. Who would make the list, and who would be number 1? With the NWO, DX, Shield, and the Wyatts looked at in detail, we have a hard choice to make. Also, 5 tag teams added to the top 20 tag teams of all time, plus lots more. This is a second of 7 podcasts in 9 days.
We like giving ourselves work, don't we? But I know top 15 factions was good, and of course we'll go back to have a look at it. Top 3 was NWO, DX, Shield. But if you want to know what order they were, go back and listen to it. And then the WNR WWE Hall of Fame 2018, WNR 7 podcasts in 9 days continues with number 3. A very special look at the W Hall of Fame class 2018. We have a look at all the inductees this year with a bio and match each. They include Double J, that's JEFFJARRETT versus Shawn Michaels at In Your House 2, and Edge and Christian versus the Hardys versus the Dudleys at WrestleMania 16, plus two Goldberg matches and so much more. The WNR schedule: Wednesday was the WNR Podcast Extra, W Mixed Match Challenge. Friday, WNR 151, W Net Review April. Saturday, WNR Live, 11pm, NXT TakeOver. And Sunday, WNR Live, 10pm, WrestleMania.
Yes, and we move on with WNR Podcast Extra. It's the WWE Mixed Match Challenge Part 2. It's number 4 of 7 podcasts in 9 days. And on this podcast extra, it's the second part of the Mixed Match Challenge. Bobby Roode and Charlotte look to oust Rusev and Lana along with Finn Balor and Banks to stretch the final. Whilst could anyone, including Braun Strowman, blossom streak? Plus, it's a lot more.
Then WNR 151 WWE Net Review for April. It's what we do the best, the WWE Net Review. All the latest content on the network, including W24 photo shoot and all new collections. Then it's time for 205 Live and the semi-finals of the Cruiserweight title tournament. All the latest news. Will Hogan be at Mania? He wasn't. Brock's future plans, plus lots more. Finally, it's NXT update. The last march towards NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Aleister Black and Sienna on a collision course for the NXT title. And the Dusty Classic is heating up.
Indeed, yes. And then 152, it was the WWE NXT TakeOver New Orleans pre-show and the WNR was live. And we start the live shows for the weekend with NXT New Orleans. We bring you all the build-up you need, including last night's Hall of Fame ceremony and a run through the card. We watch the final of the Dusty Classic and have all the latest news, plus lots more.
Episode 153, WWE WrestleMania 34 kickoff. The WNR podcast is live again, this time for our first ever WrestleMania kickoff. Our only first ever WrestleMania kickoff was this year. What a show we have for you. Not only do we have an in-depth look at the card, but all the latest news and rumours for the show of shows. Also, Mixed Match Challenge, Final, 205 Live, and Raw and SmackDown Live talk, plus game shout-outs, and lots more. WNR theme by Diddley on SoundCloud.
Episode 153, and it's WrestleMania, baby! One of the most anticipated cards in WWE history. How could it possibly let us down? Oscar's streak, Nakamura's chance of redemption, and the blockbuster main event. Seriously though, Rousey and Bryan are worth the price of admission alone, and we don't charge.
I think I was a bit depressed after WrestleMania 34. What a letdown it was. Like I said, Oscar losing to Charlotte. It should never have happened, really, should it? I know it made Becky Lynch rise, but she could have rose anyway. It felt big, and then I couldn't believe that moment. And then Nakamura and AJ Styles as well, not delivering on the great grand stage of them all. And Nakamura not getting the job done is depressing enough. And then, like I said, that main event, Reigns versus Lesnar. What was your best and worst thing of WrestleMania this year?
There wasn't really many great moments during WrestleMania, I don't think.
Well, Daniel Bryan came back, didn't he? Teamed up with Shane McMahon to take on Owens and Zayn. So that was quite a nice moment. And Ronda Rousey was impressive, no matter what anybody says. At WrestleMania. We move on to WR Podcast Extra, W Raw After Mania. We look at Raw After Mania, believe it or not. With all the debuts and surprises, unlike Mania itself, it delivered. We also watched 205 Live, SmackDown Live, and a dream match, which is Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. And then we look at the state of the Cruiserweight division. Of course, Cedric Alexander defeated Mustafa Ali at WrestleMania for the Cruiserweight title. That was a good moment on the undercard, I suppose. And Matt Hardy winning the Memorial Battle Royal.
Indeed, yes. It was wonderful. But we go on to the true main event of WrestleMania weekend, and it was NXT TakeOver New Orleans. It was episode 152, featuring a contender in Gargano versus Ciampa, with the NXT women's with the NXT women's and tag team titles on the line. It was a night of changes and shock. Andrade Cien Almas defended his NXT title against Aleister Black, throwing a 6-man ladder match, and the NXT after. It's a jolly good show.
I tell you what, that is my match of the year. That was Ciampa versus Gargano the first time round. Absolutely brilliant takeover it was. And then the WNR 1 WWE versus WCW Raw Nitro After Mania. The night after WrestleMania always gets called one of the best nights in wrestling, and the WNR go back 20 years to see what Raw had to offer the night after Mania. A changing of the guard was in order as The Rock and Triple H looked to seize control, plus the Austin era officially begins. Then we watched WCW Nitro. What would Hogan and Co have in store? With Goldberg in action and even with talent like Jericho and Booker, it was a night not to be missed.
Yes, and we also go on to 155, the WWE versus WCW April 98, Part 1. Episode 155, WCW versus WWE. It's the first part in April 98. We go back 20 years. And the night the war changed. After 83 weeks, WWF strikes back with Austin versus McMahon. Over on Nitro, they would respond by booking a huge world title match, plus lots more.
And then WNR 155, WCW Spring Stampede 1998. featuring Goldberg versus Saturn, Benoit versus Booker T, and Chavo versus Dragon. It's a solid undercard, but could the two main events deliver? In the first ever baseball bat on a pole match with Kevin Nash and Hollywood Hogan clashing against Roddy Piper and the Giant. In the main event, the world title on the line, Sting versus the Macho Man, plus lots more. Enjoy.
And we follow that up with the third part of the trilogy, episode 155, the third and frankly best WWE versus WCW. We have Goldberg, Hogan, Brett and Macho Man fighting for dominance on Nitro, while Raw, Austin and McMahon's feud is just getting started. DX Nation and Sting all have big things to say, plus lots more.
Then the WNR 156 is WWE Greatest Royal Rumble moving into May. It's the WWE's first foray in Saudi Arabia with a Great Royal Rumble. 50 men will compete for the title and a big-ass trophy. Part-timers John Cena and Triple H collide, and The Undertaker buries Rusev. Plus Lesnar reigns again, and no woman. Enjoy.
Episode 157, it's the monthly WWE Network review for May, featuring 205 Live and the quest to be next in line to Cedric Alexander's Cruiserweight title, the latest news, arrivals, injuries and departures, the NXT update with the TakeOver Fallout in full effect. How would the yellow in the future? The debut of Ricochet is not to be missed, plus lots more.
Did Ricochet debut in NXT change your life, Dan?
It did, yes.
Because you got rid of Enzo Amore this year, and then Ricochet, your man, kind of joined as well.
My mate, Rick.
Your mate, Rick. WNR 158, WWE Backlash 2018. It's the mega event that is WWE Backlash. Featuring a classic Intercontinental title match between The Miz and Seth Rollins. It goes downhill after that. Big Cass versus Daniel Bryan and Nakamura versus AJ Styles underwhelm. Then the main event of Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns drives everyone away. Please try to enjoy.
The WNR Podcast Extra. The WNR Podcast go to the WWE Raw and SmackDown Live in the UK. We travel to the O2 and give you all the details people never do, like travel, tickets, and just how much everything is. We also give you an in-depth analysis of both nights and the latest from the European tour, and exclusive news only known by the WNR Podcast, plus lots more.
Yeah, and I mean, we found out a lot of exclusive, juicy stuff when we were there last time. But I think, again, I don't know what it is about WWE this year, but when Raw and SmackDown, it's kind of underwhelmed, wasn't it? It wasn't really anything that kind of stood out. Is there anything that stood out for you seeing Raw and SmackDown live that changed you? You know, is there anything this year you were excited about?
Only the seats. The subway was open again.
The Subway,
that was
yes,
brilliant.
Yeah, Subway. I mean, it wasn't a bad show. It wasn't bad Raw and a bad SmackDown. But again, it wasn't just, you know, it wasn't kind of great. But again, we'll do it again next year. Again, the Manchester shows got a lot better attention than the shows in London with the title changes and what happened there. But again, it was all right. It was a pleasant enough trip. I mean, my favourite part of it was you and your Enzo Amore t-shirt getting stopped by every fan asking, "Did you know he was a rapist?" I mean, that was my favourite part, Dan. You know, and of course the loser will have to wear his t-shirt to the O2 this year as well. So get ready to wear your Adam Cole baby t-shirt,
James. That just fires me up for this year.
Well, we'll move on to May. Well, no, end of May, and it's the WNL 159 WWE versus WCW in May, believe it or not. It's the monthly WWE versus WCW podcast. This month in WCW, the NWO was split into two factions. Team Hollywood and the Kevin Nash-led Wolfpack, with sides to pick who would come out on top. Also, Jericho Cruiserweight reign didn't look at ending, even though he kept disrespecting the Malenko family. Plus, Booker feud with Benoit gave us a surprise. And Goldberg. Could WCW win the war this month? On WF Raw, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Mr. Man was in full swing, with Stooges and Dudes trying to stop the Texas Rattlesnake. Also, sides were drawn between the Nation, ruled by La Rock, and the newly improved DX, with Triple H leading the charge. Plus, The Undertaker and Kane's rivalry unearths a shocking revelation, and Val Venus debuts. Hello, ladies. Plus, lots more. Enjoy.
And episode 159, part 2. The final Raw and Nitro from May 98. Plus, we watched WCW Thunder for the first time as the best of 7 series continues. Plus, would Sting join the NWO? On Raw, Austin and McMahon are at war over the WWF title. Vince has stacked the deck against Stone Cold at Over the Edge, with Patterson, Briscoe involved versus Dude Love. And if that wasn't bad enough, Mr. McMahon chose himself as the guest referee.
That Vince McMahon is a fucking arsehole. He really don't like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Well, we move on to WNR 160, W Net Review for June. First, we look at the latest content, including Hidden Gems. Then on 205 Live, and Buddy Murphy is looking to become Cruiserweight Champion.
Boo.
On news, the latest on CM Punk and WWE new TV deals. Finally, it's NXT Update, Ricochet, EC3, and the Undisputed Era. What more could you want, Dan?
Well, James, I'll tell you exactly what more you could want, and that is episode 161, Best in the World. It's CM Punk, Best in the World. The WNR podcast focuses on CM Punk's entire career with IWA, Ring of Honor and ECW. Then it's time to witness his MITB victory and world title wins. Matches include versus Jeff Hardy, versus Morrison and William Regal. We also wrap up Punk's court case and look towards his UFC fight, plus lots more.
Yeah, fight. What is CM Punk? You know, a guy who's been away for WWE now 5 years and still gets chance in the build. He doesn't care about wrestling anymore. He wants to move on. Don't get me wrong, I'm a massive CM Punk fan, but long gone are the days where I think they're gonna bury the hatchet and him come back. You know, if WWE really wanted to do something with their fans and people's choice, CM Punk would take out R-Truth and be number 30 in the Royal Rumble. But it isn't going to happen. Punk's time is not now. It's never going to work. He doesn't want anything to do with wrestling. He's happy doing what he wants to do. WWE happy without him. All the money in the world couldn't entice him back. It's just done. But CM Punk is one of the most asked questions on the podcast. One of these things everybody still talks about CM Punk. Don't get me wrong. I love him to bits, but it's just, I'm going to say it now. It is not going to happen. All right? It doesn't matter. Now, I'm going to say this now on this podcast.
Hang on a minute. Are you using that reverse psychology thing?
What? No.
Because ever since we've been doing the podcast, you've been saying, I hope CM Punk, I want CM Punk to come back. Even your fucking year-end predictions, your bonus prediction, I don't know whether it's a waste, but you always say, yes, CM Punk to return. And he never does. So you're going to say, no, he's never going to return.
Never, ever, ever.
January the 1st, CM Punk returns.
If he does, then I don't know what I will do.
This would be the WWE CM Punk review podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we'll do Punk more. Moving on, WNR 162, WNR Live, NXT Chicago. NXT TakeOver Chicago pre-show, bringing 2 episodes of NXT plus shout-outs, games, and in-depth run through the card, plus lots more. I mean, NXT Chicago was a good pay-per-view this year as well.
Yes, and talking of Chicago, the Chicago native, 161 Part 2, it's the continuation of the CM Punk special. Having just won the world title against Jeff Hardy, what was next for Mr. Straight Edge? Well, matches against Mysterio, Del Rio and Daniel Bryan excite, while a pipe bomb changes the game. Ooh. Plus lots more.
I want to go back and listen to it. Up next, WNR 162, NXT TakeOver Chicago Part 2. It's TakeOver Chicago. What a night it was, and we bring the action as live. Featuring 3 title matches, including Ali B versus the unbeaten Lars Sullivan, a dream match in Ricochet versus the Velveteen Dream, then it's Gargano versus Ciampa in a war which started 392 days ago.
Episode 163 was Money in the Bank 2018, featuring two ladder matches, an incredible 60
plus AJ Styles versus Nakamura, Jax versus Rousey, and Oscar versus Carmella. Also, the instant classic between Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal. Jokes. Plus lots more.
Then the WNR 164 W King of the Ring 1998. On this day, 20 years ago, the incredible Hell in a Cell match between Mankind and The Undertaker. The WNR watched the entire pay-per-view, plus we had an in-depth look at the Immortal match. Austin versus Kane in the First Blood, plus the King of the Ring semis and finals, plus lots more. Enjoy.
So we go on to episode 165, WWE UK Part 1. And move on to episode 165. It's a WWE UK Tourney 2018. 8 of the Commonwealth's best. Joe Coffey, Ashton Smith, Travis Banks, Dave Mastiff, Jack Gallagher, Zach Gibson, Jordan Devlin, and the WNR's pick, Flash Morgan Webster. The quarterfinals, semis, and final are all here to win a chance to fight the UK versus Pete Dunne.
The WNR 165 Part 2. It's the second night from the Royal Albert Hall, featuring all of NXT's biggest stars and Adam Cole. NXT Women's and Tag Team titles on the line. Could Mustache Mountain bring it home? Finally, the winner of the UK tourney, Zach Gibson, chases glory versus Pete Dunne.
Episode 166, and it's a network review of July. New collections and shows including WWE 24 and something else to wrestle. 205 Live catch up, and Buddy Murphy and Mustafa Ali put on a Match of the Year candidate in a no DQ match. Then all the latest news with Brock Lesnar and the numerous injuries on the WWE roster. A special look at the man they called Vader, and watching a classic encounter with Sting for the WCW title. Finally, the WNR favourite time of the month, the NXT update. The new NXT Tag Team Champs are here, and the Undisputed Era are not happy. Plus, Johnny Gargano versus EC3. What more could you want?
Nailed it. So we lost Vader. I mean, that was a big shock, big man.
Right, big man.
It was Vader. It was Vader's time. But I mean, what a legend he was, and a couple of great moments in his career that we've seen on the podcast and that we will watch again. Next 6-7, WWE vs WCW, we go back 20 years to continue our journey during the Monday Night War. On this episode, Goldberg continues his undefeated streak, but Hogan stood in his way on an historic Nitro. Booker's Best of 7 series continues for a chance at the TV title, plus Jericho, Eddie, Brett, and so much more. Of course, Goldberg would defeat Hogan and become WCW Heavyweight Champion.
Episode 167, Part 2. It's WCW Bash at the Beach 98. What talent was on show? Firstly, Chavo Hair versus Hair match, Cruiserweight title match, Rey Mysterio versus Jericho, and Booker T versus Bret Hart. Also, Goldberg versus Kurt Hennig for the WCW World title. Also, Nitro Fallout and lots more.
And then the WNR 168 WWE Extreme Rules 2018 featuring Roman Reigns versus Lashley, Oscar versus Carmella, Owens versus Braun. Then for the W titles, AJ Styles versus Rusev. And in the main event, it's a 30-minute Iron Man match with Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins for the Inter Championship, plus Raw and SmackDown Fallout, plus lots more. That wasn't a bad pay-per-view Extreme Rules, I don't think it was.
Episode 169, it's WCW versus WWE, June and July 98. It's the WWF's time now to impress. Even though they won the ratings, did they have the better show? Stone Cold lost and won the WWE Championship and looked at becoming tag champions. Were the Undertaker hoots? The war raged on between the Nation and DX, and the brawl for all starts.
I absolutely love the Brawl for All. It's one of my favourite competitions in WWE history.
Said no one ever.
WNR 170 W Net Review for August. The monthly review. On this show, new content in Table 3 and What with a Life. 205 Live has a huge title match when Alexander defends versus Hideo Itami. Big news stories in this one and some terrible news about wrestlers passing away. But we cheer update. The tag and NXT titles are on the line and a new number contender for the women's title, plus lots more.
Episode 171, it's WWE versus WCW for August, and we bring you the best of Raw. For the first and only time in its history, a Hell in a Cell match takes place. Not only that, but the tag team champions, The Undertaker and Austin, have new challengers to their gold. The war between the Nation and DX continues, and questions to be answered are, is Kane and Taker in cahoots? Throwing Val's penis all on the highway to hell.
WNR 171 Part 2.
2.
It's WCW's turn. We look back 20 years at Nitro for August. The Wolfpack are in the house.
Ow.
As Nash and Co look to take over. Hogan is killing on to the sport and main events, another pay-per-view versus Jay Leno. Goldberg was still the WCW champion, but who would step up to the challenge? Plus Jericho, Eddie, and an ultimate surprise.
Episode 172, and it's SummerSlam weekend, and what better event to watch than SummerSlam 98? We go back 20 years to the Attitude Era, to one of WWE's most enjoyable pay-per-views. What a card it was in New York City as Triple H and The Rock battled in a ladder match for the IC title. The main event featured WWF's biggest stars as the WWF champion Stone Cold faces off with The Undertaker, plus lots more.
I mean, what an event it was. I really, really loved it. Like I said, it started off a huge weekend because WNR 173, the WNR Live, bring you NXT TakeOver pre-show from Brooklyn 4. We have NXT Update, latest news, Who Done It, shout-outs, games, and of course an in-depth look at the entire card. And that was when Aleister Black was attacked, and we were looking into who to do it. And I didn't get a bonus point for it, but I did guess who attacked Aleister Black. So there we go. And you can hear the reasons why I thought that if you go back and listen to the live show.
Episode 174, and it's time for the biggest party of the summer with SummerSlam 2018. We are live, and we bring you 205 Live, latest news and new content with the network, plus games, shout-outs, and an in-depth look at the card.
And WNR 174 is WWE SummerSlam 2018. We bring in the biggest part of the summer, and it's not a complete shit show. Seth Rollins versus Ziggler starts us off well, and The Miz versus Daniel Bryan is not to be missed. The two main titles on Raw changed hands as Ronda Rousey and Roman reigned supreme. WNR's take on the entire event and who won predictions, plus lots more. I really enjoyed SummerSlam this year. Felt like the WrestleMania as opposed to
WrestleMania,
what it should have been. Ronda Rousey winning the championship off your favourite Alexa Bliss. And of course, Roman Reigns finally getting the job done against Brock Lesnar. What are your thoughts on SummerSlam this year?
It was a very enjoyable card. Yeah, there was a few disappointing matches, but yeah, on the whole, it was one of the better cards of the year.
Yeah, no, I think at this moment in time, probably the best kind of Big Four event as it was.
Episode 173 and it's NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4. What a night it was. And the NXT shows always deliver. From Adam Cole to Johnny Gargano, everyone put on a hell of a show. Get a WNR's reaction and review of all the event. Plus Raw and SmackDown review. We look at future plans for the Shield. New tag team champs on SmackDown Live as New Day become five-time champs. News updates on Neville, McMahon and SummerSlam Fallout, plus lots more.
Yeah, I mean, SummerSlam was a great weekend for us at that time. Biggest weekend that we had done. And then we moved on to 175. So we've has done 175 episodes at this point. You know, you think about the milestones that we reached. We did Most Controversial WWE Characters Part 3. Thanks for your support since we started the show on this very special show. Randy Orton, Brutus Brody and Sammartino are featured, plus Tough Enough with Bill Dimmer and A Tragic Life for Brian Christopher. Plus lots more including China and CM Punk. We also look back at WNR's best and worst and where we go from here. Yeah, because Randy Orton did a lot of bad things this year, and of course that's what we talked about. Brian Christopher, of course, passed away this year as well. Another one that went too soon.
Episode 176 is WWE versus WCW September 98. The WNR go back 20 years and month to month we watch blow to blow on Raw. On this episode we have 2 Raws and a Nitro before our pay-per-view of the month, Full Brawl. NWO Black and White faced the Wolfpack and Team WCW with stars like Hogan, Nash, Sting and Warrior. What could go wrong? Plus lots more.
WNR 177 is the WWE Mae Young Classic 2018. 32 competitors from around the world face off to a chance to win it all. We bring you a full rundown of each superstar plus our very own picks. On the show, the first 8 matches of the Classic featuring Rhea Ripley, Zeus and many, many more.
Episode 178, the WWE Network review for September. Firstly, all the new collections and content from the past month, then 205 Live with Buddy Murphy leading the charge in a match of the month versus Kalisto. All the breaking news with CM Punk, Shawn Michaels and the Women's Evolution. We finish things off with a cherry on top and NXT update. Johnny Gargano was looking for answers after defeat at TakeOver. And would we find out who attacked Ali B? Plus lots more.
And then WNR 179, W Hell in a Cell 2018. With Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman in the main event, it was a night of shocking actions. We watched the entire event, then we have a roundup of the week's action. New content and latest news, including Brock Lesnar's return. Of course, Brock Lesnar returned to that match in the Hell in a Cell match, making it a no contest.
Yes.
Episode 180. In 98, WWE and WCW were locked in a ratings war. Going back 20 years, we watch blow for blow, week to week, and see the very best and worst of this historical era. On this episode, McMahon had a master plan to take the WWF title from Stone Cold. Over on Nitro, the return of the Nature Boy. Woo! Plus lots more.
Then the WNR 181 Mae Young Classic Round 1 Part 2. On this show, we're bringing the second half of the first round. After an amazing start to the Mae Young Classic 2018, we see the other 16 competitors. Caitlin returns to face Kavita Devi, and James and Dan's picks face off. Io Shirai faced off versus Zia Brookside. Plus lots more. Can you remember the 3 people that you picked in the Mae Young Classic?
Zia Brookside,
yeah,
Toni Storm,
yeah,
and some other woman who got knocked out in the first round.
I know. I picked I picked Io Shirai,
Kavita
Devi, and Isla Dawn. Both my picks got knocked out in the first round. I'll have you know.
My pick won it. Episode 182, WWE Super Showdown in Australia, featuring Undertaker versus Triple H and Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. Buddy Murphy steals the show, and plus we review Raw and SmackDown and bring you the latest news.
When we did that show, I knew we'd hit it for 6. WNR 183, WWE vs WCW October 1998. It's the monthly WWE vs WCW Monday Night War. It's October, and Vince's master plan came into effect with Austin no longer champ. But had the boss made a bigger enemy in Kane and The Undertaker, sending him to the hospital led for one of the most famous Attitude Era moments with Bedpan McMahon along with the debut of Mr. Socko. Over on Nitro, the war intensified between the NWA Wolfpack and Black and White. We were getting closer in Warrior versus Hollywood, and brother Hogan was still running the show, plus lots more.
Episode 184, it's the Mae Young Classic 2018, featuring all the stars who advanced, including Io Shirai, Toni Storm and Rhea Ripley. We bring you 8 second-round matches with a full rundown of the entire tourney, plus lots more.
And then in our podcast extra, SmackDown 1000. So we had Raw 25 and SmackDown 1000 this year. For you, what was the better event of the two?
Raw 25, I think that was very enjoyable for the nostalgic moments. SmackDown Live, I don't know, there wasn't really too much going on, was
only
there?
The Batista thing, wasn't it? Evolution, that was kind of the thing really that took the shine to it. Whereas Raw 25, we had Austin Sharp, didn't we? Which is probably the best bit of that. So I felt I've got to give it to Raw 25, but SmackDown 1000, we give a full review of the show and see if it lived up to expectations. It obviously didn't. We also watched the very first show and SmackDown 500, plus lots more.
Episode 185 is the WWE Network Review for October, and it's what we do better than anyone. Featuring all the latest content on the network with all the new collections, then 205 Live and a new champ was crowned. How would the purple brand react? All the news for the month and an inside scoop of the future of Crown Jewel. Finally, it's NXT update and Nikki Cross knows. Would we find out before the end of the episode? Plus lots more.
I know who did that. Then the WNR 186 W Mae Young Classic quarterfinals and semis. Would our picks Toni Storm and Io Shirai make it to the final? We address the emotional news regarding Roman Reigns and give you all the latest updates plus a lot more. So first off, Dan, what are your thoughts on the Mae Young Classic before we talk about the most depressing news of the year?
Miko Satomura. Is it?
Yeah, she was awesome, wasn't she? I mean, the Mae Young Classic this year really kind of shone, and in a year where women's wrestling really went to the forefront, the Mae Young Classic was a kind of perfect introduction. There's 32 other women that can really bring it. We've seen it with people like Mia Yim, Io Shirai, and of course, you know, a lot of others now coming across to NXT. It's such a moment for the women's division. And I think, you know, whoever would have won it would have been a deserving winner. You know, look at Rhea Ripley now. She got to the semi-finals. She's now NXT UK Women's Champion. You know, like we talk about Shirai, how good she is. And, of course, don't forget about Toni Storm. You know, she's there competing for the NXT UK title as well. So I think Mae Young Classic was absolutely brilliant. Dan, lead us off the most depressing news of the year now. Roman Reigns. It is the worst news that we've had this year, isn't it, really?
Yes, well, Roman Reigns came out at Raw. And he was in his street clothes. He had his hair kind of tied back in a bun. He didn't look like Roman Reigns because he wasn't. He was Joe. And he came out with probably the most devastating news of the year. And that for 15 years he's been fighting leukemia. And unfortunately, the leukemia had returned and he had to relinquish his Universal Championship. And, you know, myself, amongst others, was watching that Raw and... You know, even everyone in the crowd, people have been very polarising of Roman Reigns, but everyone had kind of like joined together and it had felt like a collective kick in the nuts for everyone.
Yeah. And let's hope he can come back in 2019. But even if he doesn't, maybe people can look back and kind of respect and appreciate Roman Reigns' career that he had leading up to this point now as well, you know. So it was a horrible moment. We'll try and cheer us up now, Dan, because, you know, I do like October, time of year, and I'm sure you're a big fan of the end of October, early November.
I am a very big fan, yes, and it is the spookiest time of the year, and for the 4th time, we bring you the WNR Halloween special. This year, we go back to Halloween Havoc in a scare for all. We had Warrior versus Hollywood in a rematch that no one wanted. Plus Goldberg versus DDP and Raw and Nitro after.
Yeah, I mean, Halloween Havoc 1998. I mean, the Goldberg DDP match was good, but the Hogan Warrior match was terrible, and the pay-per-view was cut off at the end of that as well during that match. It was just a complete clusterfuck from WWE when WWE was kind of hitting it out of the park. The WWE in 2018 could be accused of a lot of bad things, but on October 28th, they had the very first ever women's only pay-per-view. Not only was it my birthday, but it was my pay-per-view of the year as well. It's the first ever women's only pay-per-view on a night where the Mae Young Classic was decided. I know, damn one. Plus an awesome last women's standing match between the Man and and Becky Lynch. No, between the Man and Charlotte Flair. Over 50 over 50 WWE stars competing a night to never forget. Plus lots more. And Jeremy Davenport has commented on the podcast as well. So thank you for that.
Episode 188, and it is my birthday WWE pay-per-view, so would it be as good as James's? No. It's the WWE Crown Jewel, the event no one wanted. Here at the WNR here at the WNR headquarters, we debated to do a podcast for this, and in the end, we did. And decided to slate the fuck out of it. WWE hates its fans, and here is proof with the cash grab of the century. Bringing HBK out of retirement and a World Cup full of Americans. Hear how, where and why it went so wrong. Plus lots more. Enjoy.
WNR Podcast Extra, WWE NXT Update. The WNR presents a very special podcast extra. It's a classic NXT Update. Just days before TakeOver, we watched 3 episodes as the cards take shape. Aleister Black found out who his attacker was and was thirsty for vengeance. The Undisputed Era were making enemy after enemy, and with Bobby Fish returning, they were stronger than ever. Plus lots more, including the number 1 contender for the NXT Championship.
Episode 189, and on this episode, one of the most requested shows, it is WWE Survivor Series 1998. It's time for the team! A one-night tourney to decide a new WWF champion featuring Mankind, Undertaker, Stone Cold and The Rock. It's a star-studded lineup. McMahon had a plan, and would it come to fruition at the pay-per-view? It's not one to be missed. Plus, a real man's man makes his pay-per-view debut.
Yeah, what a man. I don't want to be biased towards the second half, the second half of the year as opposed to the first. I do love the Royal Rumble WrestleMania. But I do think the WNR podcast kind of knocked out the park in the Evolution pay-per-views and everything in between. It's probably my favourite time this year. Moving on to WNR 190, NXT TakeOver War Games Live pre-show, previewing all the action to come with NXT news, shout-outs, games, and in-depth analysis of all the TakeOver events. A look at last year's card, all the latest news with Triple H about NXT UK and more.
Episode 191, and we are live again. This time it's a WWE Survivor Series 28. On the show, new content and collections, 205 Live, live news, Raw review and SmackDown summary. Games including Dead and Alive and F1 or Elephant, plus we run through the card.
And that is our biggest show of all time as well. 45,000 people listen to us on that episode alone. We had 20,000 for the NXT TakeOver show. We'd like to thank everybody. We're going to do it again at the Royal Rumble. And if you're in Britain, we're going to do it for NXT TakeOver, but it's still going to be live for that. So we've got all these live shows still to come. Next episode, WNR 191, Survivor Series 2018. We had the live kickoff. Now it's time for the main show. Raw Battle SmackDown for brand supremacy. Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan and Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte surpassed expectation. Get the WNR's take on the entire event, plus lots more.
Episode 190, Part 2. It's WWE NXT TakeOver War Games 2018. We have had all the build-up with the live show, but now it's time for the big event. And what a show it was. We recap all the action, plus new content, news, and Raw and SmackDown review, plus lots more.
And you liked War Games better than Survivor Series that weekend, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Yeah, and I didn't. I mean, I don't want to, because of the results of anything that happened at TakeOver, but I just felt Survivor Series was a little bit better a story told. I still think the War Games match was too long in itself. I don't want to have a go at War Games match, but I still think it went maybe, a few minutes long. And I think Survivor Series was a good story told anyway. But it doesn't matter what I think. It's Matt, what do you think? You're listening to the show. WNR 192, WWE vs WCW, November 1998. It's a monthly WWE vs WCW, the Monday Night War. This month we go back 20 years as WCW and WWE were still trading, and Raw offered us Austin versus The Rock for the WWF title. On Nitro, plans for Goldberg are in place as a Giant, Bam Bam and Big Sexy are who's next, plus lots more.
It's a very special WNR podcast extra, and we are celebrating 100 episodes of 205 Live. From Enzo Amore to Neville, we rank every former champion and decide whose era was best. We watch Buddy Murphy in action against Mark Andrews, and the end of the war between Mustafa Ali and Hideo Itami, plus lots more.
WNR NXT UK Special Part 1. Ever since we have started this podcast, British wrestling has flourished. Now, as 2018 closed, there is more UK content than ever. On this episode, Team WNR rate and review not only NXT UK, but Rev Pro and World of Sport, plus lots more.
And WNR NXT UK Special Part 2. On the final part of the WNR's UK Special, we watch Rev Pro and a fantastic encounter between Kadisha and Zack Sabre Jr. We continue watching NXT UK, and we have the crowning of a new women's champion. With Dinsism taken on the WWE, or simply where the nearest event is, we have it all, plus lots more.
Then at WNR 193, so we're into December now. WWE versus WCW for December. On the show, we have two events from the WF as Capital Carnage and Rock Bottom took place, along with Stone Cold Steve Austin being crucified. Over on Nitro, their bald-headed champion faced threats from all angles as Nash Hall and Bam Bam had eyes on him, and the Nature Boy had a heart attack. Plus lots more. Enjoy.
Episode 194, and it's what we're all about. Looking through the WN... It's episode 194, and it's what we are all about. Looking through the network and giving you its best collections, new content, and 205 Live. As we head to WWE TLC, we watch the quarter and semi-final of the Mixed Match Challenge. All the latest news and the crown jewel of the WNR podcast, NXT Update, plus lots more.
And then the WNR 195 WTLC 2018. It's the last paper of the year. We watch the entire event, and everyone should be warned. James has a McIntyre match and Orton in action for Dan. We gush over the main event and how women's wrestling is actually better than anything on the main roster, with an in-depth look at W's plans till Mania, plus lots more. Enjoy.
It's a WNR Christmas special, WNR Awards 2018. And we are in the Christmas cottage for our festive show. And presents, we celebrate the holidays. The WNR podcast presents its 4th annual WNR Awards, featuring pay-per-view, match and entrance of the year. And we also have the Johnny Gargano Award for most punishment taken in a match, plus lots more.
I'll tell you, if anybody ever copies the Johnny Gargano Award for most punishment taken in a match, I'll know they've been listening.
We will so.
We will. And then our penultimate episode of the year, the one last week, WNR 196. Well, I say last week, posted a couple of days ago. WNR 196, W versus WCW Starrcade 1998. 20 years ago, Goldberg was undefeated and WCW World Champion. Standing in his way with an unbeaten 1988 was 7 foot of big sexy Kevin Nash. Also at Starrcade, Ric Flair battle for control versus Eric Bischoff. Also, Raw Nitro after the pay-per-view, plus lots more. Enjoy. Now, unbelievable 93 episodes. Dan, I'm going to put you on the spot. What was your favourite episode of the year?
Fastlane. No, I think it's just something about going head-to-head with you, and I enjoy it, and not only because Randy Orton actually did beat Bobby Roode, but you know, it's our rivalry, and that I really enjoy our rivalries.
Well, you talk about our rivalries, Dan. We've got nothing else to do. We've talked about the year in review. We've gone back to 2015, 2016, 2017, and looked at stuff. But now it's time for the year-end predictions. It's time to see if James can get 11 points back from Dan. And when do we find out, Dan?
Now!
So, this is down to what Dan was saying, and not me. I'm not really happy about this, but Dan wants to do it, and seeing as it's a kind of partnership in the podcast, Dan, you want to bring someone out of retirement, don't you, for this year? Or this
I
point?
do, James, and despite the fact that he's nearly 98 years old, I think we should bring back someone to deliver our year-end predictions, a man who's been keeping them safe for the past year, and that is the Butler.
Yeah. All right. So we have locked him in the basement with the year-end predictions. We should have really fed him. I hope he's alive. But we all know how we used to call him back in the day. So on a count of 3, let's call for the Butler. Ready? So 1, 2, 3.
Gibbo!
Good evening, gentlemen. The Butler here, straight from the vault. Predictions year-end. Over to you, boys.
Thank you very much. How you been keeping? You all right?
Rude health. Thank you.
Okay, he's done my heading. Get back in your cage. Get back on. Go away. All right, so Dan, you see why we don't use him anymore, don't you?
Have seen, yes, but he's very old, so
Shot to fuck would be a better word. No, not on the floor. Pick it up. Oh, that is disgusting.
oh,
No, don't clap. So we're gonna open up the year-end prediction. Dan, can you make sure they've not been tampered and or doctored for 1 whole year, please?
no, our initials all over the envelope on every sealed part has not been touched.
Well, just to make doubly sure, if you go to our Facebook page, and Dan, what are we on Facebook, by the way?
Facebook, you can come and find our page and give us a like. We're the WWE Network Review Podcast. You can come and find me and add me as a friend. I am Vince McDan.
Because we released a video, of course, didn't we? Signed, sealed, and delivered. So about 12 months ago, I've just seen a video of Dan sealing it up, and here we go. I'm going to unseal it now. This is exciting.
Does it smell like 2017?
It smells like the disappointment of 2017. We have 2 envelopes in. We have Dan's year-end predictions.
Thanking you.
We have mine. Oh, Dan, you put a little message on my envelope. Yes.
Well, at the bottom of mine, it says Dan wins pay-per-view, James wins NXT and we draw a bonus, and Dan wins year-end, making James wear a Mojo Era t-shirt.
Is that what it says? One of your bonus predictions?
No, it's just a bit I put at the bottom.
Alright, so this would be quite easy. Oh my god, what the fuck was I thinking? Right, anyway, so these are the year-end predictions. We did them at the end of 2017. So put that into consideration before we call out what we've done in 2018. There is 2 points on the line for a bang-on answer, a point on the line for if they're a different brand, and a point for arguing on the bonus ones. Like I say, 39, so I need an 11-point swing. The easiest way and the fairest way of doing this is to name the champion that we're going to do, pick our 2 answers, who the champion is now, if we get a point or not, alright? Simple as that. So we'll start off with WWE Champion. So WWE Champion, Dan, kick us off, seeing as you are the champion this year so far. Who is your WWE Champion?
My WWE Champion was Bobby Roode.
Fuck off, was Bobby Roode. WWE Champion, Bobby Roode. That's hilarious.
And of course it is Daniel Bryan. James, who was your choice?
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to laugh at Bobby Roode a little bit because that's so fucking retarded. I went Baron Corbin. Wow. Who is further off there? At least Bobby Roode's the champion, so I suppose, Alright, so my Universal Champion. We'll check them all afterwards as well, just to be sure. I'm going to cross that one off. That's not Corbin. Alright, Universal Champion. I have gone for, and this is a great pick, I will say, Reigns. I got Reigns for the year. And
fair play.
I would have been right if it wasn't for that damn leukemia.
Well, my Universal Champion is Finn Balor.
And it actually is Brock Lesnar. So unfortunately, no points yet for us. But maybe it will change with Intercontinental Champion. Dan, who you gone for?
My Intercontinental Champion, Aleister Black.
Ooh. Well, Dan, who is the Intercontinental Champion right now?
It is my man, Dean Ambrose.
And if you think you'll find and have a look, I have gone for The Miz. Damn it. I thought I was going to do better than this. Right, I'm really going to have to think about next year's one. Okay, US Champion, Dan. I have gone. Is it mine or yours?
It's yours.
US Champion for the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger.
Well, James, my US Champion, Rusev. No, it's not. It's Matt Hardy.
You gave me a fucking Connery then. Jesus Christ. Alright, so Matt Hardy. Jesus Christ, he's not even wrestling anymore. Matt Hardy. Ty Dillinger. I don't know why I'm laughing. Ty Dillinger's hardly the guy wrestling anymore, is he? Do you know what I mean?
Matt Hardy's just as retired as Ty Dillinger is at the moment. And obviously the current US champion, who won it at the end of the year, is Rusev.
Yeah. Rusev. Okay, move on to Cruiserweight Champion. I've quite surprising one, really. Dan, who have you gone for?
Hideo Itami.
Itami. I have gone for Leo Rush.
Fucking hell.
I don't even know Rush was around last year. And it actually is my mate Buddy Murphy. So 5 down, 5 wrong. Will we actually get one?
That would be the... Now, this one is one that I could potentially argue. Because the Raw Tag Team Champions, I have gone for the Undisputed Era. Yet they are NXT Tag Team Champions.
What, you want to get a point off the Undisputed Era?
I'll put in brackets, still cunts. But, did make a point that, correct but wrong brand.
So you count NXT in that? I was just making
it's up to you, I don't mind.
Do you need the point right now? We'll give you a point if you need it, but right now, at 11 points, let me just get 1 point first before you start beating me even more. It's not going to happen for me because my Raw Tag Team Champions are the Revival, so that didn't work out there either.
And of course, the Raw Tag Team Champions are Rude and Gable.
Mm-hmm. SmackDown Tag Team Champions, I have gone for New Day.
Close, but not correct. Mine, I've gone for Sanity.
Well, they are on SmackDown though, so you might get a point about it. He's got the right roster. And SmackDown Tag Team Champions are, of course, they don't say it, they are the bar. Right, here we go. Raw Women's Champion, Dan.
I went for 1 point, Oscar.
Yeah, I've got an Oscar as well for Raw Women's Champion, so we both get a point on that.
SmackDown Women's Champion.
Do you know, I'm really fucking clever. I went Becky Lynch. And how close was that, considering... Seriously, you don't believe that Becky Lynch there is my...
Fair play.
Yeah.
Close, but not correct. SmackDown is Oscar, obviously. Raw is Rousey. I went for Ember Moon.
Alright, so we didn't do well on the main roster, so let's move down to NXT. And so that's a point each, and maybe a point for the Undisputed Era. I'll give you a point in the Undisputed Era if you want, for NXT. I don't mind giving you a point, so there you go. So you get another point for Undisputed Era as well.
Why, have you gone for someone in NXT that's the current champion?
No, because I'm going to get 2 points in a second, so that's 1 point there. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 champions down, and it's 2-1 to you. So, up next, NXT champion. Dan, who you gone for?
I went for my man, Ricochet.
And I went for Adam Cole, baby. I think just to piss you off, really, but...
Probably, yeah.
And he is indeed...
Tommaso Ciampa.
NXT Tag Team Champions. I have gone for the Undisputed Era.
Good call. I went for Street Profits.
Fucking hell. Oh, fuck it. I hate Shayna Baszler more than anything in the world now. NXT Women's Champion.
Well, James, you may hate her. I love her. NXT Women's Champion, Baszler.
You get another 2 points. Well, I went Kairi Sane.
Fucking hell.
So insane if we're going former champions. UK title, Dan.
UK title, I have gone for Tyler Bate.
Yeah, I also went Bate as well. I guess we both thought Bate was going to win. Should say it's 4-3 to Dan at this moment on scores. As we move on to our next one, the Royal Rumble winner.
What did you get? Oh, you got 2 for NXT.
Yeah. All right, Royal Rumble winners. I think we'll both be happy here. Royal Rumble, I went for Nakamura and Oscar.
I also went for Nakamura and Oscar.
So 4 points there for both of us. That's good, isn't it?
Oh, is it just one each, isn't it?
Well, they bang on and it give ourselves 2 points each. Fuck it. It's Christmas, Dan. It's Christmas. Well, because if Oscar could have won the men's one, you know what I'm saying? So
most definitely.
Let's go. Undertaker's WrestleMania opponent, Dan.
John Cena.
I have also gone John Cena there as well. So that goes 8-7. Both got that right. 3 Mania matches, Dan.
AJ versus Nakamura.
Yep.
Reigns versus Lesnar.
Yep.
Oscar versus Bliss.
Oscar versus Bliss. No, well, I've gone Reigns, Lesnar, Nakamura, AJ, Taker versus Cena. So
that's
I get
3, yeah.
6 points there. You get 4. So 13, 12. You're on 12. I'm on 13. This is just for bonus point predictions anyway. WrestleMania main event, Dan.
Reigns versus Lesnar.
I got Reigns Lesnar again, so that's cool. So 15-14. It's heating up now. Who won Money in the Bank, Dan?
Randy Orton and Nia Jax.
Oh, I went McIntyre and Carmella. Did Carmella win?
Did she?
Did she win this year? Was it last year? She won it last year.
Yeah.
So I guess last year's Money in the Bank
Unlucky.
winner. Thought she'd win it again. Goddamn. So winners then. SummerSlam main event, Dan.
AJ versus Nakamura versus Balor.
I went Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. So that's another 2 points there. So it's 17-14 now. Oh my God, he's swinging it back, isn't he? He's coming back. Survivor Series main event.
You're never going to believe this. Ambrose versus Rollins.
Is that what you put?
That's what I put.
Fucking, that's close, isn't it?
That is fucking close. Unfortunately, not close enough, but...
Well, Dan, I know it's not Survivor Series, it's not the main event, but I put SmackDown versus Raw tag. So I get a point, don't I? Come on, that's at least a point for that. So 18-14 now. That's cool. Surprise return. What was I thinking when I put this?
Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes. I put Sting. I was like doing this 2 years ago. I was saying. Is wrestler leaving?
Bray Wyatt.
Oh, nearly happened. Nearly happened. I don't know if Kevin Owens. He's not around. He did get injured. It's surprising leaving.
Yeah, but Bray Wyatt's not been around.
Okay, no, we'll draw on that then.
Exactly.
All right.
3 NXT call-ups.
Right, okay. I'll go 3. Peyton Royce, Billy Kay, and Drew McIntyre.
I went for the iconic duo.
Yeah.
And Sanity and Ali.
So that's another 6 points there for both of us. 20.
Well, no, because I went for the iconic duo Sanity and Ali B. So I only get 2 there.
Huh?
I get 2, don't I?
Oh, yeah, shit, I'm giving you an extra point. Aren't I?
See, I put them as the tag team that
Oh,
they
right,
are.
no, fair enough, right. All right, no, you lose out 2 there. So 18-24, 6 points. So 5 points to draw, Dan. I need. And how many questions left? 5 bonus predictions as well. Oh, my God. Okay, in the crowd of NXT TakeOver, Dan.
Ricochet.
Do we both get one for that? All right. So after 30 questions, it comes down to the 5 bonus predictions. We've got 5 left, and the scores at this moment are 26-20 to me. So it's 6 points. So 5 points is 11 points gap. So I've closed up 6. There's 5 left. So if I can get 5 of these right, even in because it's 2 for a bang on correct one, isn't it? So technically, one of us could clearly win this one here, Dan. So we'll finish off with 5 bonus predictions. What is your first bonus prediction for the year?
Undertaker gets inducted into the Hall of Fame.
So Undertaker into the Hall of Fame's not. My bonus predictions: Goldberg into the Hall of Fame, and that did happen. So another 2 to me. This is going to be tight.
Kurt Hawkins gets a win.
Oh, that's a shame. Kurt Hawkins. Mojo Rawley is released.
Unlucky. The 3 Bullet Club leaders have a match, i.e. Balor versus AJ versus Nakamura.
Daniel Bryan leaves the WWE. See, if I'd have thought, what's the opposite of that? Oh, WWE champion.
Oscar gets defeated.
Oh, yeah, 2 for you there. So it's 28-22. Wow. Mojo's released by... Okay, Undertaker will retire. Not right, I'm afraid.
Ambrose turns on the Shield.
Oh. So 24-28. How many you got left? 1.
That's it. That's all mine.
Is that all yours? I got 1 left. Mine is Shield reform, then disband. Only I got right. It's only 2 points for that, but still finishes 22-30. That's 8 points. I win. So Dan, if we schedule those points, 22 and 30 plus what already you have. So final scores for that. Then I get 58 points with the 30 added on. that I kind of needed for that. I finished with 58 points for the year. Dan, you finish on 61 points. You do win 2018, but by just 3 low, to be fair. But technically, you could have had the 2 points for each prediction league, which will come into effect next year. So when we do that, that will definitely be into effect. So technically, you could have won by 9, but only 3. Considering it was 11, I am very happy about that. Dan, what are your thoughts about winning the year-end predictions?
Well, I did say at the beginning of the year, Dan wins pay-per-view, James wins NXT, we draw bonus, and Dan wins year-end, making James wear an Undisputed Era t-shirt. Well, there's only a few things to say, James, and I think they're going to come out of your mouth about how great I am and how I am the king of predictions and I am the best in the world. So, James, I'm sure you've already pre-planned a little statement to say to me. So, the mic is all yours.
We've been through some dark times in what with Donald Trump being the president of the United States and Brexit never ending. But there's one thing for sure that you could always count on, that's the WNR podcast in 2018. Since 2015, we've been together bringing you the best show that we can. But it's come to a time now at the end of 2018 where we've just done our 4th year-end predictions and Dan has won. And yes, Dan, this year, in 2018, you handed me my ass in not only the pay-per-view... Do I have to read all this that you've put down?
Yep,
okay.
Every single word.
Okay. Not only have you beaten me in all the pay-per-views, NXT, and bonus points, but I can't read that out.
Come on.
I can't.
Come on.
But your excellency sees no bound of ending. You not only... fuck it, I can't believe you've done it. You've won Mae Young yet again in 2018 with your pick, who, yes, defeated mine. And you've beat me every step along the way in 2018, including Bobby Roode losing to Randy Orton at Fastlane.
Ha, nailed it.
You are, without doubt, the king and ruler of the predictions 2018 on the WNR podcast. And I have no choice but to bow down to the new king. But as I leave here, not the end for my supporters, because 2019 is the year that matters the most. It is 2-2 now in years. The winner of 2019 is a true, undisputable king of the WNR podcast for the previous 5 years. And I will be doing everything I can. I know everybody's disappointed right now, but I'll do everything I can to be on top in 2019. But at the moment, Dan, you are the better man. So that's it for my forfeit then. Nothing else then, isn't it?
No, James. You will be wearing a shirt that I'm going to purchase. I didn't want to purchase it up front because, I didn't want to kind of...
You were that worried after 11 points behind?
Well, you never know what happens on the WNR podcast, and stranger things have indeed happened. So I didn't go out and purchase it, but the first thing I will be doing is getting a t-shirt for you to wear on the first podcast of the year and to wear to Raw and SmackDown as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right, fair dues for that one. So that's it for 2018. Dan does indeed win. Where's the future of the WNR podcast from here? Who knows? Hey, who knows? No, we'll be back in 2019. Dan's smug look can't get off his face. That is it. What have you thought of 2018, WNR podcast wise and wrestling wise, Dan?
Podcasting wise, I don't think we've had an awful lot of listeners to our live shows. They have been a major success. And wrestling, along with its lows, I think it has had a lot of brilliant highs as well. We've had some great moments, and wrestling itself is just going to get a lot better.
I think without doubt, I think you look at the women's wrestling, you look at what the Cruiserweights doing in NXT, it's only really Raw at this moment in time, kind of let the team down. And now they said they're going to change it, so you got to see what happens in 2019. As for WNR Podcast, we've got so much in store, so many live shows coming up more than ever before in 2019. Of course, we'll let you know all about that. Don't forget our next episode will be the WNR 197, and that will be WWE versus WCW, January 1999. And of course, that was the infamous finger poke of doom we've got coming up as we head into incredibly our 5th year. And of course, like I said, we're going to be live for NXT TakeOver in Blackpool, NXT TakeOver in Phoenix, the Royal Rumble, and of course the WNR 200 as well. But that is it. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at WWE Network Review or
at Vince McDan, WWE.
I'm at J_Rollins. Across all the WWE Network Review on Google Plus, or send us an email to WNRpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Facebook.
Yes, Facebook. Come and find our page with a WWE Network Review podcast. Then come and find me and add me as a friend. I am Vince McDan.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, WWE Network Review Podcast. We've got clips on there, podcasts go at the same time on YouTube. We do other places like SoundCloud.
On your phone.
We're also on Stitcher Radio and Spreaker Radio. We're going to have our live shows. And iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. But that is it. A Happy New Year from us on the WNR Podcast, everybody listening. So I'd like to thank everybody for their support in 2018 and hope it continues in 2019. So that's it. I have been James Rollins, and I was always joined by
the King of Predictions, Dan White.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.
Bye.